Conservation Commission for October 22nd, 2020. We operate under the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Chapter 26 of the Town of Danvers General Bylaw, the Wetlands Protection Bylaw. After the applicant presents his or her request and the board has had time to ask questions and discuss the project, we will accept questions from the audience. Because this is a public meeting, it is required by law that you give your name and address before you speak. Although we may disagree on the issues raised, all persons present during this meeting are expected to be civil to all of the meeting attendees. This includes the members of the commission, staff, abutters, concerned citizens, property owners, and project applicants. Okay, I'm going to begin the meeting by calling the roll of the members of the board. Vanessa Curran.
Present.
Michael Splain. You're muted, Mike.
Sorry. Yeah, present.
Ann McGill.
Present.
Chelsea King.
Present.
And Ken Wally. No. Okay, staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Georgia Pendergast.
Present.
David Fields.
Present.
Alicia Lenahan.
Present.
Anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. Chris Boyles for 188 Elliott Street.
Present.
And Dano Dukanovic.
Present.
For 107 Brad Street, Joe Skamersky.
Present.
And for 15 Tibbetts Ave, Peter Ogren.
Present.
And Amanda and Wayne Moda.
Present.
Okay. Just a quick overview of what we have to do with the remote meetings. Good evening. This is the open meeting of the Danvers Conservation Commission. It is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Conservation Commission is convening remotely via the WebEx app, as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Meeting materials. Supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body and will be shown during this transmission. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. The meeting business ground rules. We now turn to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the list of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items with public comment, We have established an email address for public comment, which is publiccomments@danversmass.gov. This email address is shown online with the streaming of this meeting. Residents may email comments and they will be provided/read out loud after the staff has confirmed their name and address. All emails must contain the date and the phrase Conservation Commission in the subject line. We've also established a phone line for public comment. You may call 978-777-0001 extension 2 to provide comment. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Moving on to our agenda. First on the agenda is a continued public hearing and enforcement order for 100 Water Street, DEP number 14-1067. This agenda item has been continued to the 11/12 meeting. Next up is a violation discussion for 55 Wenham Street. This too has been continued to our 11/12 meeting. Third is a request for determination of applicability for 188 Elliott Street, Danvers Conservation Commission number 2020-06. The applicant is Christ the Redeemer Anglican Church. Who is here to represent the applicant, please?
Chris Broyles from Meridian Associates.
Hi, Chris.
Hello.
And that thing we'll discuss.
Okay. As I said, I'm Chris Broyles from Meridian Associates on behalf of the applicant, Christ the Redeemer Anglican Church. The project is located at 188 Elliott Street in Danvers. The applicant is proposing to add an addition to their building, about a 3,800 square foot addition. Majority of the site and work is outside the conservation's jurisdiction and buffer zones. We have been in front of the Danvers Planning Board and received approval, as well as the Beverly Conservation Commission as well, and received approval. Does someone have the plan to present, or should I do that?
Yeah, Chris, I gave you
please.
presentation power,
you did?
so you should
Okay.
be able to do that.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, share, and yes, it's this, share. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah, and if you could
Okay.
zoom it in just a little bit, it's hard to see that far out
Sure.
for everyone. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yep. Let me just do full screen mode, maybe. And whoop. Does this work? Okay. So is that better?
Can you make it a little bigger?
Like zoom in,
That-
like you mean?
Yeah, am I zoomed in or not at all?
I suggest zooming in on the parking lot area when you get in more detailed discussion, because it's hard to see exactly where the buffers fall.
Sure. Do you see this buffer area right now, or is it? Oh, you know what? I think I'm sharing my wrong screen.
So we see the whole plan, we see everything. It's just,
No, that's fine. I have it on two. I have two different. I'm sorry. That's my mistake.
No.
Let me try that again.
The mic picture's not over here. It used to be. I got out of it, so I'm happy. I'm on
There we go.
next.
Okay, now I'm sharing the right screen. Okay, you can see me zooming in then?
Oh, that's much better.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry about that. All right, so what I was saying was, so this is the project site here, the church, and the red represents the buffer zones. The wetland resource area is in the corner of the site in a parking off a parking lot. They are proposing to provide a building addition and associated parking and utility upgrades. So the reason we're in front of you is there's a wetland resource area in the upper right corner of the site. The 25-foot no disturb and 35 no build zones and 100-foot buffer are depicted. Within the buffer zones, the applicant's proposing to mill and overlay the parking lot. So we are keeping the existing grades. The existing grades do drain away from the wetland resource area down towards Elliott Street, and we are proposing a couple catch basins in the mill and overlay area to better capture the stormwater runoff from that parking lot zone. That, and then there's a little landscape island as well, and some restriping. But we are retaining the parking lot layout. We're not increasing the impervious area within the buffer zone. So that's kind of the gist of the work inside the buffer zone area. I guess at this time I'll take questions.
You're not expanding the parking lot at all, is that right?
Not within the buffer zone, correct. We are expanding parking outside the buffer zones, but not within the buffer, correct.
Okay, where is the building addition going to be?
So this dark black line here says proposed building. That's the addition. So the existing is here, and the proposed is to the right of the existing building, plan right.
And that's taking over parking lot.
Yes, yes,
right.
Correct.
Okay.
The existing, I can actually, let me just move my screen here. Let me just try something. Okay. Okay, so can you see my my screen? Is it a cover sheet?
Yes. It's
Okay, so
just
this
small.
Yep.
Okay,
This
go
is
ahead.
the yep. This is the site plan that we had for planning board, and so this is, like, you can see the yellow is the property boundary. The area that the mill and overlay is occurring is in this corner here. A
Right.
part of it in this little corner is Beverly. So this is the existing building here, and so yes, the new building is where the parking is located. So you can see here the new building is right there. So yeah, so all the work they did, the mill and overlay area in the buffer zone is up in this corner.
Okay.
And it's like hatched in this little dotted pattern to
Right.
indicate mill and overlay.
And then this is all, it's already there. It's not like you're
Yes.
looking to infringe on the buffer zones.
Correct.
Okay, one thing, I drove around the parking lot yesterday, and two things I noted. I mean, the parking lot is in awful condition, so I think it's a great improvement for you folks to redo it. But then, I just noticed the slope of the parking lot, and it all slopes towards the street. So I said,
Yes.
well, where are there catch basins? I saw one catch basin in the whole parking lot. So
Yes.
are you adding catch basins to this water
Yes, we
management
are.
plan?
Correct, we are. The stormwater collection system currently is definitely lacking. I believe there's like 2 catch basins on site. We are adding, I believe, 8 or 9 catch basins to better capture the stormwater runoff. We had to meet, the Mass DEP stormwater standards for planning board, the pre and post flows, and we had some back and forth with engineering. So they approved the stormwater design, and we are not only reducing the flows off the site, but we're also reducing the overland flow. A lot of stormwater currently runs off the site into Elliott Street, and we're capturing that water more efficiently before it runs over the parking lot into Elliott Street. There was a very small amount of stormwater that will bypass the last couple of catch basins and go into the surface of Elliott, and then collect in the drainage system below. But yes, we're providing a bunch more catch basins on site.
And how will that water be handled?
So we are capturing it in a underground subsurface detention system over here on the left of the property, where the water will be detained and released slowly over a period of time back into the drainage system in Elliott Street.
So I would say there's going to be quite a bit of excavation then to build this whole stormwater system. Is that right?
It's not that big. I guess I forget actually. It's 2.5. It's 2.5 feet tall, the drainage system, the underground system, and then there's 6 inches of stone above and below it, and then a foot above that. So it's a little bit of an excavation, but it's not massive. But yes, they'll have to dig a hole for that system. We're trying to retain most of the grades in that area. There's a little bit of fill coming off the system, but it's pretty much at grade.
Okay, and you have erosion control plans to take care of any erosion from that excavation?
Yes, there is this in magenta. There's a silt sock just down gradient of the that excavation. Correct.
Okay, and then we'll also be looking for erosion control up around the 25-foot around the wetlands. But it seems to me that the water is going to run towards the street and away from the wetlands.
Yes, it all drains. Yep, it drains away from. It's basically a high point. The site itself, runs down this hill, and it's all draining towards Elliott Street. So there's nothing. There's no other direction the water's running. It's all going down to Elliott.
Okay. Okay, that's the quick questions that I have. So let me turn it over to the members, and we'll go through them one by one, and they can ask any questions or add any comments. So the first I'll call on is Mike Splain. Mike, you're muted.
How's that? Is that all right?
Yep.
Oh, good. Hi, Chris. Are you increasing any impervious in this project?
Yes, there is an increase in impervious. I don't recall off the top of my head how much it is, but it's not a lot. We have a lot of issues with it's shallow groundwater and shallow ledge. So to meet the stormwater standards, we could not increase the impervious too much. The church actually wanted a lot more parking, and we couldn't achieve that without increasing runoff into Elliott Street. So on site as a whole, there is a small increase, but in the buffer zones, there's no increase.
Yeah, and the parking lot that where you're going to be doing the millwork and the buffer, is that an existing parking lot that's usable, or is that something that's degraded to such a that it just hasn't been used over the years?
I mean, the parking lot is in needs to be addressed, but you can drive all over it. I mean, you can park there. People do park there, but it's it definitely needs to be repaved. So it's not like it's in complete disarray where you can't drive around.
Yeah, and why are you meeting a standard for a minimum number of parking spaces? Is that why you still need parking back there?
So they have the church itself has gone through measures to address parking on site. They currently have enough parking. They are working with other local, like the Danvers Port Yacht Club. They're trying to work with them to get shuttling during like Christmas and things like that. So they have some creative ways to deal with parking when there's a larger amount of vehicles, but on a normal Sunday service, there's plenty of parking. So we did increase the amount of parking, but not by a lot.
And you've already got your, I don't know why I'm doubling up here. Hold on. Fine, then. Lost me.
Mike, we can see and hear you.
Oh, you can? All right.
Yeah, you're absolutely fine.
Oh, okay, good. I just can't see me. That's fine. Okay. I think really that's all I had. And I think Peter touched on all the important parts with the milling. And that's all I have. I'll pass on.
Okay, I'll move on to Ann. Do you have any questions, Ann? Comments?
Questions about snow removal and storage. I noticed that you have a new spot for snow storage.
Yes.
Diagram.
Yeah, down the sheet outside the buffer, there's some snow storage on the right here. and there's also some snow storage on the left over here above the detention system. So those have been the areas identified.
Okay, okay. Just one other question. Removing the asphalt that you are digging up, carrying away, what are your plans for that?
I'm not exactly sure about the means and methods of what the contractor is going to do, but my guess would be, if they're going to, mill the area, they'll take the millings away off-site, and then they will, repave that area.
Okay.
I don't believe it's not. My understanding is not. It's not like a reclaim situation.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Mhm.
That's all I have.
Okay, Chelsea, any questions, comments?
No, I was gonna ask about the snow as well. So if it's being moved away from the resource area entirely, that was my only concern.
Okay, Vanessa?
Thank you. I wanted to ask, at its closest point, how close is the parking lot to the actual resource area?
It's pretty close. I don't have a number offhand, but you can see from the plan in front of you, the 25-foot no disturb is not far off the pavement. So the parking lot is close to the resource, but we're not increasing the impervious, and everything does drain away from the resource.
Okay, thank you. And then additionally, how close is the erosion control material set to the edge of the pavement? Because I assume that this milling process would probably, like if you had the erosion control right at the edge of the pavement, it would probably chew it up. So is there like a little setback that has to be accounted for?
It's a great question. We show our erosion control essentially right on the edge of the pavement. So we don't have like a detail that shows that it can be like, a foot away or 6 inches. The intent was to put the erosion control, especially in this area, right at the edge of the pavement. It's a good point about the machine itself chewing up the erosion control, but the contractor will be, responsible for maintaining the erosion control on site during construction. So if it does get damaged, it'll have to be replaced. But as the plan shows, it's showed right up against the pavement.
Okay. All right, I think that's all I have for the moment.
Okay,
I have a follow-up question, Peter, if I may.
yes, you go ahead, Mike.
With regards, Vanessa touched on this, with regards to the 25-foot no disturb in the no construction zone, that's an unusual shape that you have drawn there. What is that?
Mhm.
What is that you're measuring?
So there is a wetland resource area back here, and I believe our notes say that the wetland limits depicted hereon were obtained from the on-site wetland signage. So there's some signage back here, and that was the we used for the buffer zone, because we knew that we would only be doing the mill and overlay in this area. So that's why there's the shape here, and then it jets out over here in Beverly because they have the 50-foot no build.
Right, but will you have the how deep are these parkings? And what I'm wondering is, when a car pulls into those spaces, are they actually in the wetland area?
No, this is pavement. This is all pavement here. They're pulling into asphalt. This is just hatched a certain way to show the milling and overlaying area. So everything outside the magenta, that's, the magenta is the erosion control, but, outside the magenta is the wooded area, the vegetated area.
All right, thank you.
I drove by there yesterday, guys, and it's pretty distinct. There's asphalt, and then like within 2 feet, there's like a ditch, and then it's just wetlands. You see all the what's the tall reed type plant. So it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to spot, where the distinction is.
The Phragmite.
Yes. One quick question. Will there be any kind of berm on the edge of the asphalt, separating the asphalt from the wetlands?
No. So yes and no. As you can see, this parking area is like a rectangle, and on 2 sides of that currently is just edge of pavement. That is going to be retained. On the bottom side, we will be providing a berm to help control the stormwater runoff into the catch basin. So as I had mentioned before, any kind of stormwater that lands on this pavement is running away from the resource area. There's nothing going up the sheet towards the resource area. So the intent was to just do as little work in the buffer zone. So just repave, the existing parking lot and restripe it, and not, add a berm on the outside of the pavement, which would further encroach into the buffer zones.
Okay. All right, I'm going to turn this over for public comment, and I keep seeing some comments flash by from, I presume, our rebutters, and I'm just going to ask you folks to be patient. I'm going to go and see if there's any email or phone call-ins, and then we'll get to your comments. So first up, Dave, are there any email comments coming in?
Peter, there's no comments from the email.
Okay, Alicia, are there any phone comments?
Chairman, there are no phone comments.
Okay. I keep seeing names. I don't see their name on my agenda. So if you are online, could you just please identify yourself with your name and your address, and then the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matthew Duggan, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. A question, just kind of follow-up question on the snow removal. So this area here where the magenta is defined, the outside boundary of this parking area. So did I hear that the snow is removed from this area, or is it pushed into the resource area? Like,
yes, it is not. It's not going to be pushed into the resource area. I know that they've, have not been allowed to do that in the past. So the plan.
They've done it.
Someone else?
They've been.
Okay. Well, we're not proposing it, and they shouldn't be doing it. So I'm not sure how to respond to that. But they're not supposed to be, pushing snow into the resource area. That's why we have the snow storage outside the resource area. And if there's an excess amount of snow, they'll have to take it off site.
Yeah. I mean, logistically, I don't see how that could be true. Because if you're a plow driver, how are you going to drive into the boundary where the magenta is and then somehow drop your plow and drag it backwards? It just, from a practical viewpoint, I would say that snow is just going to be plowed right into that vegetated area, unless there's some kind of restriction or some kind of financial penalty. I don't see why. What is the incentive for the plow driver to kind of somehow move it somewhere else on the site? That seems like a very time-consuming activity to have to be doing that. That's all I have to say. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. That just gets back to my question about the berm. I think a berm might provide some restriction from them plowing directly into the wetlands. Okay, now I was, Matt, you're all set? Okay, now I see Floyd and Jenilyn Masters have been making some comments, and I'm going to give you the floor to speak. So, go ahead.
Okay. They have always, I've lived here for 32 years. Every storm, the snow, the salt, the sand goes in the wetlands. They do not stop from pushing it that way or over into our property. I'm constantly flooded over here. I talked to them when they came out for the meeting. They were going to address connecting our drainage to make sure we weren't overwhelmed with water. We're going to get it where the lowest point, us and the house in front of us.
Right under the parking lot.
It goes right under the parking lot, all over us. They've had a berm out there before. The plow drivers just push it right back into the wetlands. That trench you saw was dug by Christ the Redeemer Church with the consent of the town of Danvers in about 2012. Since then, I've had constant water, erosion, and problems that I don't want to see. I want to know what this pink line is. If they're not going to touch the wetlands, what are they doing in here? Proposed erosion. I don't see them cutting up any of the hot top to bring it back into the parking lot.
What is that?
That wetlands is actually from the edge of the hot top back, not where the signs are.
Swale right at the edge of the hot tub.
There's a swale there.
There used to be a pipe that ran along there to remove the water, excess water. It came from
The pipe that was there before was pulled out. That's what created them digging this trench.
now it's created the problem with parking lot. Now the water runs under the parking lot.
Who is speaking?
My husband.
Could he join you on the screen there?
Would you please?
I was.
Over here.
I thought you could hear me.
He's coming.
I thought they could hear me from there.
No.
Sorry. Sorry about that. I thought you could hear me.
Yeah, they used to have a water control that ran along the backside and down the side of the parking lot and around almost us. But somebody has removed it out of the swale. That causes the excess water that comes off the hill in the back to go into this swale and go into the pipe, and it never went under the water, under the parking lot, or came onto our property. But they dug a hole back here, removed the pipe, and now we get water under the parking lot and down into our driveway, into our basement. Our neighbors, 3 neighbors, now have water problems because of this. And it's just continuing. And every time they push snow, it makes it worse. They push it. They had a salt box in the back corner of the parking lot this last year that they pushed all the salt from the parking lot back into the wetlands and onto us, into our driveway after we just plowed it. And it's continuing to be a problem. I don't see this being an effective way of stopping them from pushing salt from the parking lot and the excess water and snow over that, because the berm didn't do it. They pushed the berm into the swale, from the parking lot. There used to be a berm, a bitumen berm that ran around the whole parking lot there, and they pushed that into the wetlands and had to remove it. And along with a few other problems, like I say, redoing the parking lot, I don't think is going to solve it unless they put that pipe back into action to stop the water from migrating under the parking lot and going on to all the neighbors' properties here. Because when they dug this other trench on the side, they cut off the pond that's back here. Now when that floods, that comes over and onto the parking lot and migrates under that corner of the parking lot. And the 3 houses on this side to the right, which are Beverly and Beverly, and 2 in Danvers, and the 2 in front here, us and our neighbors, all get water that migrates under the parking lot because we're all lower than the parking lot, and it all goes into our basements. And
Are you a resident of Beverly or Danvers?
I'm a Danvers. Danvers. But this affects not only the Danvers residents, but on this other side, there's 3 properties, or
No.
4 properties.
No, Frank's Properties, Danvers.
This is Frank. This is the 3 properties in Beverly. There's 3 properties up here. There's a marsh, the pond, and there's 3 properties in here. And when they dug that, now that pond overflows because there's nowhere for the water to go into that pipe because they removed it. So the pond fills up and it floods them. That's why she just had that problem over here.
Right. Okay. Then I understand your frustration, but I have to tell you that it's probably not within our jurisdiction. I
So
mean,
you dug the trench. And
I didn't. I'm here
The town
to rule.
authorized it.
Yeah,
Excuse me,
the
sir.
trench dug this trench and removed the pipe. And the pipe was working somewhat, enough to keep the water and erosion out of our...
The wetlands.
But you guys removed the pipe.
Mr. Chairman, if I could interrupt quickly just to clarify. Can you hear me, Peter?
Yes.
Great. So I'm not sure of the exact date, but there was a previous order filed on this site, and it was for that exact project that you're talking about. That pipe that, that you guys are mentioning.
Yep.
That, that broke, there was clogging, and I think it collapsed, so that repair...
Filled up by a contractor with a backhoe.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was still operable. It was working until it was removed.
They were trying to cut
So they had filed an order for that, and I know engineering had reviewed that project. So as Peter had mentioned, that issue with the swale may be separate, but I know engineering had reviewed that. And it also received a certificate of compliance, which means the commission reviewed and engineering reviewed. But as for the issue, I think we're hearing from a lot of the neighbors, and I think planning board may have mentioned it too with the snow.
Yeah.
Oh, big time.
So, of course. So and I've actually previously last season, I spoke with the actual plow driver of this site about that issue. So that salt container, as you know, will no longer be there. There are a couple suggested conditions that I've suggested that the commission implement, which I think the chair may address. I suggest one of those we could add is that the snow is removed by a front end loader, a much smaller machine.
Oh, please, not at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Hold on, please. So that would allow for more manipulation of the site. I also suggest maybe adding bumpers in some of the parking spaces, so physically the plow cannot actually reach the edge of that pavement line. Those can be added after the fact. That's a suggestion. That way they physically can't reach it. But using a smaller machine other than a plow would allow much more manipulation of those smaller areas to bring it around to the other end of the church. And also I noted suggesting that increased signage go up in the parking lot. It explicitly states that salt can't be stored there, and staff work to find an appropriate location for that sign. I know some people are shaking their heads like the signs may not do much, but this site hasn't had signs before, and I think explicitly clarifying it as a no salt, no storage zone.
We've talked to every plow company that's come out here because the easiest way for them to plow is to go close to the church and then aim at us and push it directly
into our park,
into our driveway, or leave it at the top of the hill. If you notice, there's a hill between the church parking lot and my driveway. They leave it at the top there. Snow doesn't melt uphill. Sorry.
Always runs it.
Doesn't matter what religion it is, it does not melt uphill. It floods me.
This is Dano Jakanovich. I don't know when would be a appropriate time for me to share anything, but I'm the director of operations.
Matter. They still, it's just when the plow pushes it.
Who's speaking now?
We need to make sure, I'm sorry, we need to make sure that the public only comments when it's their turn. It's hard because it's interlacing on our audio. So if you are, you just need to pronounce your name before you speak, and I'll make sure the chair calls on you beforehand.
You called on us.
Yeah, you had, and then you cut in on me.
And then I heard another voice, and I see another.
That was I don't know her name, but this is Mr. Masters. And I said part of this, and I was interrupted by a lady that said she had some previous
planning.
Yeah, planning, whatever, and dates. And I was let her talk, so I figured I'd get to respond again. And like I said, our main concern is not only that the pipe was removed and not replaced, and that seemed to have stopped a lot of the problems we were having with water. And it's not being addressed as to being reinstalled. There are, like I said, 6 other neighbors in this area that all get flooded since that pipe has been removed. And it's not only that, it's now she's saying put a loader in here. A loader is going to wake us up. We have kids in school. I don't know about you, but if somebody has a loader and it's right outside your window and they're banging the thing up and down all night, 3 o'clock in the morning, my kids can't go to school. You know, they can't get any sleep. There's also a what is it, a noise thing here in Danvers?
Yeah, if on a dumpster removal.
Yeah, it pertains to just more than dumpster. So if you put a loader in here at 2 or 3 in the morning and it's going for a couple hours, and then they sit out here and run, park it and run it for another 2 hours, we're not getting any sleep. My son's not going to be able to deal with us going to school. So that's not going to solve the problem, and it's not going to solve the problem of water still coming under the property out here and migrating onto our properties.
I want to know what this pink coil looking thing is all the way around. What is that exactly going to be? Because you're digging past the hot top to put that in.
No, that's at the edge of the, yeah, might be.
Chris, is that a proposed berm?
No.
Yeah, I can respond. The purple magenta color, that's the erosion control. I wanted to highlight it to show that it's right off the edge of the asphalt, the parking.
But what is it going to be? Are we going to be looking at gravel in there?
Oh, yeah, no, it's temporary. It's for construction. It's going to be removed after
It's an
construction.
erosion fence?
Yeah, so it's a bunch of plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a silt sock. That's
So that's a temporary while you're in construction.
Yes, correct. It's not permanent.
Okay, have the masters, have you anything else to add?
Yeah. Like I said, our main concerns are we're really speaking for a couple of our neighbors because they're not capable of doing this. One lady right now is just got out of the hospital, and the lady over here can't do it either. She's about almost 90, and we're both. All of us in this neighborhood are having a problem with water coming under the parking lot, not so much as on the parking lot. It gets on the parking lot when the swale in the back of the property and along the side of the property where the pond is fill up with water, and it runs under the parking lot. They remove these pipes that were in the swale, and now the water comes under and erodes into the property. And when it fills up the swale, it comes over too.
Okay.
So we got a two-part problem.
Yeah, I don't want to see it get any worse.
Georgia, could we go back to the engineering department and just have them revisit, take these concerns to them and just get their comment on the master's concerns, and we'll just continue until we hear back from them?
I'm happy to do that.
This is Daniel Jakanovich. I'm on the phone. I'm a member of the church, and I'm the director of operations. And may I have a chance to share?
Yes, you may. Certainly.
Nice.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I've been in the role for the last 3 years as the director of operations, and then I've also consulted with my prior colleague who was in the role for 7 years when the church was founded, David Greening. So 2 things. One, I'll let Chris speak to it, but we did neighbors meetings to include with the folks on the phone right now. And we came away from those meetings with some great productive additions to the plan that Chris reviewed with the planning board to try to address some of the neighbors' concerns. Those were put in place, those were approved. So Chris can speak more to that and how we tried to address the neighbors' concerns. I just want to speak to the church. I guess I don't want to sound defensive, but I want to make the claim, at least, that the church has been a good neighbor. We've maintained the conditions that were required from the previous intervention. We've swept the driveway. We've cleaned out the grate where the water's supposed to drain. We have stored the snow, not pushing it into the wetlands, not pushing it into the neighbor's yard. I can't speak forever for every single snowplow, but all last year, as the neighbors called the town of Danvers and the Danvers police, every single time it snowed, we engaged with the plow company, and I was on site with the plow company, making every effort to keep the snow away from the neighbors and to keep the snow out of the wetlands. So, yeah, I just want to make that clear. Chris can speak to the engagement we had with the neighbors as part of the planning process if he thinks that would be valuable.
Yes, I can speak if that's an appropriate time, Chairman.
Yes, Mayor, go ahead.
Yes. So yes, we did have we had a virtual abutters meeting a couple of months ago at this point, and we also had a couple in-person abutters meetings, and we walked the site and we discussed all of everyone's issues. We tried to implement as many of the comments as we could. I can't remember all of the comments or things we discussed. However, I know that we had added more berm to the bottom of the mill and overlay area because there's no berm there now, so water does drain into the abutter's property. So now it'll be conveyed to the catch basin. This one here, this catch. Can you see my cursor move or not? Can people see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that catch basin there's a berm here we're proposing that wasn't there before to help convey the water that drains this way. We also have the snow storage here. As I had mentioned before, this is the existing plan sheet. The existing curb line is right here for parking, and it's not shown on the new plan because it's removed. But we are moving the edge of parking about 20 feet away from the abutters. And so now we have this landscaped area, grass area that is away from the abutters. And what we're doing is we're pitching, you can see pitch grade away from a butter within snow storage. So we're also taking this area and we are pitching it towards the church. So any snow that melts will drain towards the church itself. I think there are a few other changes. I just can't recall all of them, but those
Chris,
are a couple
I can add.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt. I can add one of the neighbors, the same neighbors that are on the phone right now. One of their concerns was about people congregating during odd hours back in the back corner, and we agreed to set up a post with a link on it that would be possible to run a chain if need be to try to limit any ne'er-do-wells going back there in the middle of the night. That was another concern of theirs that we tried to address. The other one was the overall just drainage from the site, and that they've referenced repeatedly that we're spending a ton of energy and a ton of time and a ton of money to upgrade the overall drainage of the site that will benefit the whole town and all the neighbors. So that's another piece just in general that was addressing one of their concerns. But I think what I just want to reiterate is that it's just not true. We have not been pushing salt and pushing sand and pushing snow into the wetlands every single year for the last 10 years.
You want the videos?
Okay, is everyone spoken their piece?
No, could I make a statement towards this?
Are you just reiterating what you spoke about?
Pretty much, it's to that last statement that was going on here. We live here, we have high definition cameras. I can give you reference to every snowstorm that has occurred here as far as what has occurred. as far as the snow being pushed after our driveway's been plowed, down into our driveway as far as the salt and snow being pushed along with the berm that used to be in your parking lot that is now in the swale, and showing them pushing the snow
That's not
into
true.
the
There is
wetland.
no berm in the swale. There is
Well,
no berm in the
there
swale.
isn't, you removed it, but there was a berm that ran the whole back of that parking lot. It
Okay,
was
excuse
a
me, sir. Excuse
berm.
me, Floyd.
Yeah.
Mr. Masters.
Yep.
These are stormwater issues. These are not the Conservation Commission issues. So just in the interest of moving the meeting along, we're going to talk about the resource area.
Yeah,
All
this
right,
is the resource area. In the back of the parking lot is the resource area.
Right.
And
Most of your comments are focused on your property, and I want
No,
to...
not just our property, on the wetlands, sir. It goes in the wetlands. It's affecting the wildlife, the salt and the sand.
Yeah, where they had the storage container last year is where they used to push the snow with the salt.
Well, I think that they've addressed this, and they're making changes.
I've heard this for, I don't know how many years.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to poll the members to get a feel for what they're thinking, and then we have to move on here. I mean, this is just you know, I don't think
Mr.
we're getting
Chair?
anything accomplished.
Can staff provide a comment before you poll? You had asked me a question before Dano had come in about engineering reviewing, and I just wanted to preface that the engineering department reviewed this under Concom and the planning board as well. And he did not have any comments for the commission based on their review. And he was satisfied with all the stormwater aspects from the planning board standpoint. So I just wanted to preface that.
Okay, and do you think that the masters had their comments presented as part of the stormwater review?
We weren't included in it when they did it. We were never told of the meeting.
You would have been informed with the planning board process?
No,
we
weren't
walked the
told
site with you
of that.
personally for an hour and a half.
No, Dano, that's not what I'm talking about. Sorry, honey, wrong page. That's not
And
what
then
I'm
we
talking about.
integrated
I
your
do
feedback
greatly,
into the presentation to the planning board.
I
don't know if
appreciate the time you took to talk to us,
Oh,
but
he
we
was
still have some
fantastic.
concerns. We're just trying to look out for the concerns.
And like I said, I still don't see, did you realize that the water is still gonna migrate under this parking lot and it's gonna ruin their parking lot again? Because it comes, the swale is 3 feet down, lower than your parking lot. Water comes under that and undermines your parking lot. If you don't stop the water from migrating onto the parking lot, it still creates holes that trucks have fallen through out here and you've had to repair. That causes like your ditches to erode, your parking lot to erode. So if you don't stop that water from migrating under, which is doing us damage, it's also doing damage to your parking lot. You've had trucks that fall through the pavement out here all the time. How many holes have you people repaired out here? Look what happened to the drain over here because water has migrated outside the perimeter of that drain. It caved in. You've had it repaired 3 times. It's not just me. It'll be beneficial to you if you replace that pipe that stops the water from going under your parking lot, and it'll make all us neighbors really happy. You know, it's not a big deal, really.
I thought I heard that was a project that was in the works.
I didn't hear that. It's not on the print. It was, we had discussed it.
I think I heard Jordan mention it.
We're going to do better than that, Floyd. We're going to do better than that. We're going to put in 9 catch basins. We're going to
That's in the parking
the
lot.
water.
It's not on your perimeter.
Improve the drainage throughout the entire property. Far better than just replacing a pipe with the town already approved a project related to that. So we agree. We appreciate your concern for our property, and we are going to go above and beyond.
It's not just your property. It's everybody's property here is suffering because of this problem. And like I said, it's really not a big thing if it's addressed correctly, and it can stop a major concern. Like there's 15 neighbors on this side of this whole perimeter that run from us all the way up into Beverly, and this is like it affects all of us, really. Like I said, when that pond overflows now because they had cut the access from that pond off, it used to go into that ditch, and the water that migrated to that pond is wetlands water. It used to go into the ditch, and that would get removed too. But no, now that gets spread out amongst us neighbors over here. It doesn't go into the ditch anymore and doesn't dissipate. It just goes into the soil.
We keep going around in this, and I have said it several times now. This is not our jurisdiction, so I apologize, but I'm going to stop the discussion now, and we're going to move along. We have several issues to vote on here. The first is if we want to issue a waiver for the work to be done within the 25-foot no disturb zone. Then we would vote on the determination of applicability. So that being said, I just want to poll the members before I ask for a motion. If anyone to I'm proposing. So let me start with Mike. Mike, did we lose you?
Let me unmute. Hold on. Yeah, I'm unmuted, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to vote. I mean, I'd like to hear some engineering comments. I'd like to know about this pipe, if it was in the wetland, what it was doing, why it was removed. I'd like some more information. I don't feel ready to vote yet.
Well said. Okay. Ann, what do you think?
I think the addition of the drainage there, which indicated there was that difference between the neighbors and the parking lot in that movement. We didn't get that in the initial presentation. And so it seems to me that would mitigate some of the issues the neighbors are talking about. But I'm just based on my observation and the quick comment at the end there.
Okay. Chelsea, what do you think?
I agree. I'm not really ready to vote yet. I think enough has been brought up where I'm kind of like hesitating, particularly with, I want more information, like maybe from engineering, comments on like that pipe that was mentioned.
Okay.
And any prior order of conditions too.
Vanessa?
I agree that some more points have been brought up that I think we need some more information on before we can move forward.
Okay, so it's I'm hearing that it's pretty much a consensus. So I'm going to propose that we continue the hearing until I'm going to request Georgia to get back to the engineering people with stormwater management and just probably give us a little more detailed explanation and sign off on the plan as a whole.
Mr. Chairman, could we have a site visit out there? I know you went out there. I don't think there was a scheduled site visit though.
Right. I just was out, and as you know, I'm disabled at the moment, so I have time on my hands, so I just drove by. So I have no objection to that. I mean, I'm going to be incapacitated for the next few weeks. So, but I saw what I needed to see yesterday, so I have no objection to a site visit.
I'd be more than happy to meet with you people. And there was an engineer that was out here before with the site management people that were fantastic. I explained it with him. I'd love to go over it with you people and show you exactly what I'm talking about with him. He was very knowledgeable and he understood what I was saying.
I think you have to get the property owners to invite you.
That engineer is on the phone, just to be clear. That engineer that you met is the one on the phone.
And who is? Is that Chris?
What's
Chris Broyles, yeah.
Chris?
Yes. I was at all the Butters meetings and the virtual ones as well.
I believe that this is a gentleman I met with, and he was very knowledgeable, understood what I was saying. I'd love to have him come out with the other two members of your board, and he's very knowledgeable, and he understood what I was saying. The only objection I have, I can see doing this parking lot would be an improvement. It needs to be done, but like I'm saying, if it's not addressed properly, you're undermining your own progress. You're going to undermine the parking lot again, it's gonna be a further problem for not only you, but us. If they just put that pipe back, it solves everything. Really would.
Excuse me, Mr.
I'm
Chairman?
happy to meet with all of yous if you'd invite me.
Could I,
Sorry,
Mr. Chairman, could I, through you, ask staff if town engineering has been out there and addressing these particular areas, if they've been out on the site,
So
or are
this
they just reviewing some plans?
Go ahead, George, you heard that, so that's through me.
Yes. So I'm not privy to if engineering goes out to the physical site when they review the projects, but I know that Mr. King, the director of engineering, did a full in-depth review of all the stormwater standards for the site, and it passed all those. I would like to ask the commission, based on the chairman's suggestion, that the engineering department review it further. So having them already reviewed the stormwater standards, I think I just need a bit more guidance on exactly what the commission would like me to ask engineering to review and to look at.
Well, I'd like Mr. King to come out to the site and actually take a look at the ditch, what he knows about what was done previously, the removal of pipe, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I have a lot more. I'm very confused about this pipe. Why was it there in the first place? What was its purpose? Why was it removed? I feel like there's a lot of background information on that.
Okay,
I'd rather hear from our engineer. So,
Excuse me, folks. Just keep in mind that stormwater management is not our jurisdiction. In the interest of time, I don't want to belabor this point. My viewpoint is we should continue this hearing, get the town engineers out there to talk to the relevant parties and report back to us, and then we will vote on the wetlands aspect of it.
good.
Okay? That being said, if anyone has any objection, I'd like to entertain a motion that we continue this until the town engineering folks can get out there and just give us a more detailed report, or just, have the abutters happy with what is proposed here.
I'm sorry, but this is Dan Ojikonovich. I don't know if I have a place to speak at this point. I don't think I do. I think it's to the board, but so I'll stop.
Stop. Peter, I'll
It's
make a
over an hour
motion.
on this one item, and we've got nowhere.
Peter, I'll make the motion.
So Daniel, I'm gonna give you one,
Can you hear me?
hold on, Ann,
This
one
is
second.
Ann.
Let Daniel, I'm gonna give him 1 minute to make his point, and then we'll entertain your motion.
Okay.
Go ahead, Daniel.
I appreciate it, Chairman. I just, as the representative of the owner, and the owner, time is obviously matters and is super important for the project and for moving it along with weather and everything else. And I just would reiterate what the staff question was, which is that engineering has dug deeply into this and been back and forth with our engineers a variety of times. The abutters concerns have been addressed through the planning board process, and it's been approved through the planning board. The pipe that they're referring to was part of a previous Conservation Commission approved and certified project. It seems, I'm just not, anyway, I'd love to not delay it, but that's just not my issue, I guess. So that's it.
Okay, I understand your frustration, but I do just have to be fair to all parties concerned, so.
Thank you.
Ahead with your motion, please.
I'd like to make a motion that we continue the hearing for 188 Elliott Street, file number 2020-06. So the next meeting, which is November, I don't have a calendar.
November 12th.
November 12th.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I'm gonna poll the members. All in favor? Vanessa?
Yes. Could you hear me?
Yes, we did, Vanessa. Mike?
Aye.
Chelsea?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
And Peter? Yes. Okay, so this hearing is continued until our 11/12 meeting. And Georgie, you can get in touch with the the stormwater management people and we'll just get a better feel for everything?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The applicant is Joseph Skomersky. Mr. Skomersky, are you representing yourself here this evening?
I am.
Okay. If you have something to present to us, now's your time.
I think Georgia was going to put that up on the screen. Is that correct?
Yes, just stand by and give me a second,
Okay.
please. Apologies.
That doesn't look like the Danvers waterfront.
No, it does not. I was not prepared for this. Apologies. Can everyone see my screen?
Can we just zoom in a little bit, Georgia?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
That's good.
There we go. So, Mr. Skomersky, I'll pass it off to you to give an
Okay.
overview, and I'll try to use my mouse to kind of point out to the areas you're talking about.
Okay, great. Good evening. My name is Joe Skomersky. I'm the owner of the property at 107 Bradstreet Avenue. I am proposing an addition on my garage of 18 by 25, which is in purple color there. We are leaving 3 sides of the garage that is in the blue. The 24-foot side is remaining too, so 3 sides is remaining. And so basically we're adding the 18 by 25 addition to the garage. We are 140 to 150 feet away from the river. In between that is a stone wall, existing grass, my house, and then grass in front of it with another wall. So it's quite the way from the river area. And that's pretty much it. We do have a DEP file number, and they didn't have no input on the project at all. So I'll open it up for questions.
Could you leave the plan up there, please, Georgia? Oh, actually, gonna put a picture. That's okay. That's just good.
There's the existing garage.
Okay, so you want to put some to the left of the existing doors there, correct?
Right to the left, right? This little shed that's added onto the garage will be removed. The shed that's in the yard will be removed, and we're putting the bigger garage on so we can remove that stuff and have more storage.
And what is the surface here to the left of the garage?
That's a gravel driveway.
Sorry.
Okay, you're gonna have a little more impervious surface, right? You know, any idea how many square feet?
Of the addition of the 18 by 24, whatever that is.
That's roughly 400 or so, right?
Yeah, got 430 square feet.
Do you have any plans for handling the runoff, the roof runoff?
No, right now it just goes onto the grass, and as you can see in the front of the building where the green grass is, and there'll be grass on the other side, so it's just gonna run onto the grass. I don't propose on putting gutters on the garage.
Now, what's the roof line gonna be?
Did I send you pictures of the plan, Georgia? The roof line is, there's gonna be a top story on it. It's gonna be pitched, you know, pretty much the same way. It goes a couple of different ways actually, but I wasn't gonna have any gutters on the property because of the 2 big trees that my neighbors have.
What are you just worried about leaves from the?
Yeah.
Okay, can I just get a better idea if we go back to the picture, Georgia?
Yeah, I have a couple more photos. Just give me a second to pull them up here.
I just want to see what the roof line is, just for curiosity's sake.
Well, I don't know if she has the drawings.
I don't have your drawings, Joe, but
you have this conventional roof line here, and you're going to build another. How much more? How much bigger is the addition?
18 by 24.
So it's going to be another 18 feet wide. So Is there
It's gonna have an upstairs to it with a couple dormers for storage.
Okay, yeah, I guess my concern is just the,
There you go. There's where the water goes right now,
onto this grass.
onto this grass.
Yeah,
Right,
but everything you build.
If anything does flow down the street, it goes down the street and it goes into the front lawn.
All right, because everything you're building is on the other side, is toward your house.
Right, right. And this is a big hill that goes down in front of the property. But this is all green grass here, where it says, you can see there's the stone driveway, then it's all grass. Between the garage and my house, it's all grass.
Okay, well, except for that gravel.
Right. Well, that's the existing driveway.
Hold on, folks, my battery's running out. I gotta plug in here. Okay. Okay. Turnovers, Mike, do you have any questions, comments?
Yeah, just, you're adding a second story on the garage. Is there a second story now?
No.
Is that living space? It's just storage?
Just storage, yes, and it was approved by the planning board. I already got my approvals from the planning board. There's gonna be no plumbing in the building or anything. It's just for storage.
Yeah, it's not an F lot. It's just, it's not an extended family living arrangement. It's just you're making the garage a little bigger for storage.
Right, we have our house, there's no storage, so this is good for all the patio furniture, all the boat stuff and everything to throw up on the second floor, you know?
Yeah. Right. Are you going to remove the shed or relocate it?
Remove. It's not gonna be there no more.
Okay, it's gonna be gone. And the
We're gonna
same with
eliminate
that little, dog house that's coming off the side of the garage. You're gonna remove that.
Correct,
And,
so we're trying to, right.
Does any of your water go off-site or to the neighbors, or where does it go?
No, it probably stays on my grass, you know. It doesn't go to the neighbors. If anything, it goes in the street, you know, from the front of the garage. It rolls down the street, you know, because that Brad Street Ave is a hill, you know, right?
No, I know it, yeah.
Right, and also I'll go down to the grass.
Could you put the picture back up, Georgia? Oh, thank you. All right,
See the green grass over there?
So as I'm looking at like the where the truck is, the water flows away from the truck down.
Right.
Is that correct? And
Correct.
then out to the street.
Well, it goes down and then there's all green grass down there. It's like 50 feet of green grass before the river. Georgia, do I have a picture of that? Did I send you a picture of that as well?
That wasn't one of them that I saw. That's the best that you'll see.
Yeah.
And that one.
That's the same one.
Oh, no, you can see a little bit more of this.
Oh, no, I see better. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, see how the green grass there?
So there's another house between you and the river, right?
No, that's that brown house is my house.
So wait, are you on the river?
Yeah, that's my house. That brown house is my house.
Okay.
Here, Mike, I can do an overview.
Oh, that'd be good.
This is the house here, and those trucks that you were seeing in the picture are parked right here.
Correct.
So this is this house right here. Is this, oh, sorry guys, is this house. This is the garage. So the water he's saying is flows down into, and this front grass is what you're seeing here.
Right.
So it's a long, skinny lot.
And George, you think it spreads out over the grass, you know, rather?
Can you repeat that, Mike? I didn't hear you.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I said, well, I before that I said, so you feel the water spreads out over the grass without the need of a gutter, without having to be directed somewhere? You're not hearing me?
Are you asking me, or are you asking Georgia?
No, I was asking staff that.
Okay.
I would ask the homeowner that. I'm not sure, based on the grades, it doesn't seem to be too much of a grade change. Mr. Skomersky probably knows the best his water runs. I'd assume it goes down to the street, like he says, down towards the waterfront.
It does. It does go across the water, right?
That would make
When I
most
did the
sense.
house over, it used to come towards my house and go into my house, and now it all goes. They just did the street over, it goes down the street and into the grass. And then adjacent to my property is the walkway, you know, the public access. It goes down in there too as well. You know.
Okay, well, what would gutters actually do in this case? I mean, in terms of...
They put the water the same place it's going now, right?
That's what I'm wondering.
But a lot of it stays on my property because 3 sides of my garage, it stays on my property, right? The front of the garage is all green grass. The behind the garage, it can drain there. And then on the other side is grass. So 3 sides, it stays on my property.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Ann, any questions or comments?
No, I read through the description and I'm satisfied with the project. Thank you.
Okay, Chelsea?
Yeah, I don't have anything either.
Okay, Vanessa?
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions about your existing parking situation and what it's going to be like once the garage is built. So, Georgia, could you just zoom in on the plan a little bit to the parking area, please? Thank you. All right, so in front of the existing garage, it says there's an existing concrete driveway or asphalt, and then to the left of that, kind of where the proposed garage is going to be, it says existing crushed stone driveway. So is that whole area, basically the 18 feet of the proposed garage plus the 24 feet of the existing garage, that's all going to be, like, there's no curb there, that's, you can pull in from the street?
Right, it's going to be, correct. So where the 24 feet is going to be 2 garage doors, and where the 18 is 1 more garage door. So we have a 3-car garage.
Okay.
So we'll be parking in the garage. And then on the
Okay.
side of the garage right here, there'll probably be a little parking spot for visitors or whatever, you know. And then we also park on the street where you
Okay.
saw my truck.
Okay, I was going to
Take a
ask
picture.
about that, where it says, so it looks like there's existing crushed stone driveway to the left of the new garage still, and I was wondering if that was going to be converted to lawn or remain as crushed stone.
We're probably going to pave it, and it's probably just going to be small for 1 car for, you know, visitors or whatever, because we don't have much parking.
Okay, so then at the end of the street, so the street does not run all the way to the water. The street stops, what did we say, about 50 feet before the water, and then there's a public access area, and that's basically lawn, but a walking path as well?
Yes, yes, yeah.
So I would think we don't really want water from the property running down the street and then into the river. But it sounds like there also probably is a lot of that already happening just due to...
The street, the whole street runs down into my front lawn and into the walkway and everything. So the whole street is it's a big hill going down. So it all runs down there, you know.
Okay.
And it goes, that's why my grass is good and green. Because when it does rain, it does go onto the grass.
Okay. I don't think I have any further questions.
Thank you.
Can I ask a follow-up, Mr. Chair?
Yes, you may.
I was just wondering if you, do you get flooding?
No.
No. Okay, that was my question.
Nope.
Thank you.
All right, I have one additional comment, Mr. Skomersky. I would prefer that you didn't pave the area to the left of the new addition. If you could have some kind of permeable surface there, I think that's better from where we stand. Is that something you could manage?
Yeah, I could manage that. I could put some, I mean, I have stone down there now. As you know, with stone, every time you plow, it ends up You know, it ends up all over my grass and everywhere else. But I mean, it would only be a small one-car park, 12 feet wide. It wasn't
Yeah,
not.
Still, we try to limit the impermeable surface wherever we can. So if you have something that's permeable there now, we prefer to leave it like that.
Okay.
Okay, are there any questions from the public? I'll go to David first, see if there's any email comments.
Hi, Peter. Did you hear me?
We do now, David.
Sorry, there's no email comments.
Okay, any phone comments, Alicia?
There are no phone comments.
Okay, are there any comments from anyone that's signed into the meeting?
Yep. Matthew Duggan, town meeting member, precinct 1. A question about this plot plan. Can you move it up a little bit? I wanted to see the red line. Yep. So there's 2 red horizontal lines there. And there's also some verbiage there that says Brad Street Ave. This area here, what do those red lines represent? Those 2 horizontal red lines. The bottom one says iron rod with cap.
Where do you see that?
There's 2 horizontal red lines that go starting on the left side. They go to the river.
I don't see. Oh, this is iron rod.
Yep, there's the bottom red horizontal line says iron rod with cap.
Yeah, that's the other side of the street.
Okay, so, and what about this one where the cursor is now, where it says porch? What do those 2 lines represent?
That's the property line.
Okay, and between those 2 lines, who owns that property?
The city.
The town of Danvers, okay.
Town of Danvers.
So,
but that is not, that's all in our neighborhood. We have, there's no sidewalks. The sidewalks were never put in. So the street is there, but there's no sidewalks.
the item that's between where it says cobblestone and then in parentheses typical, and then below that approximate mean high water.
Yeah.
What's that kind of twisted line there? Is that does that denote a fence? Where it's between where it says cobblestone and approximate mean high water. What is that line?
Right here?
And
that is a rail fence.
Okay. And who does that belong to?
I guess the city.
The city owns that fence?
The town or something, I don't know. The town, I would say the town.
The town put that fence in?
I'm not sure.
What about that green grass that's between the fence and the porch?
That's the town. The town. I mow it, that's the town.
So I'm not clear that fence was put in by the town, because that actually, all that land right there, below, between those two red lines is actually public open space.
Yeah.
But with the fence there, it looks like it's your yard. And I think I heard you say a few minutes ago it was your yard. They asked where the water went. You said,
well, goes to the green grass.
Yard.
Yeah.
So not only does it look like your yard, you just said it was your yard.
Mm-hmm.
So
well,
I have an issue with that. So to the Conservation Commission, through you, Mr. Chairman, is that an illegality? Was that would that have needed a permit from the commission to install that fence in that do not disturb zone?
A good question. We'd have to research that.
Okay. And so I ask because to me that's an illegality. And so you're considering a permit or an application on another part on a nearby area. I think that this needs to be addressed first before you before you allow that garage to be expanded. I think it should have been addressed when the pier was put in, or it should have been addressed when the retaining wall was put in. This is the last chance that we really have to address this fence. And the fact that, you know, the town open space is relegated to a 6-foot path really is a disservice to anyone that wanted to visit that and get access to the river. You know that access to the river is constrained throughout the area. And so this is one of the few spots where the public can actually walk down to the water. And I'll leave it at that and let you decide what course of action is appropriate within your jurisdiction. Thank you for the chance to speak to this.
Okay, where is the actual property line here?
May I rebut on that? The red line is the property. May I rebut to the Mr. Duggins?
Please just answer my question here.
Sure.
Your property line is right where the cursor is?
Yes.
So if I'm interpreting this, then your porch goes on outside of your property line?
Yes, that's an existing porch that was on the house. The building, when I did my house over, the building inspector said it can stay there. All this land that's here, there's a rock wall that's there, so there is a public walkway. But if you walk across that green grass, you'll fall right over the rocks and go, you come down and see it, you'll fall right over the rocks and go down the embankment. That post and rail fence is put there just so people don't fall. Do people come down there all the time? Yeah. But, you know, I just maintain that area. But kids come down there, they could fall and go down there. The geese come up there, they go on our patio and everything. So, I mean, that's all that's there is for. When I did the house over, there used to be some sort of a fence there too. Did it look like that? No, but it's just a post and rail fence.
Now, didn't you rebuild the house? You built it on
Yeah, I put a foundation under it in 08, I think. You know, but I don't think that has, you know, I'm asking for something up at the garage. What's done over here is, you know, it is to protect the public, you know.
Right.
I mean, that is land. I mean, that's always city land. That's always going to be town land. And, you know, but I mow the grass and take care of it or whatever, but, you know, it's not that anybody uses it.
I agree with both of you. Mr. Duggan makes a valid point, but I also agree with Mr. Skamersky that it's really outside of the scope of what's being presented to us this evening.
Correct.
So that is my viewpoint. And if any other members of the board have any comment on that, just feel free to jump in. I'm not going to poll each one. If someone has something, just unmute and say your piece.
Well, I only want to know if the applicant put that fence in or if the town put the fence in.
The town didn't put the fence in.
If you've lived there all these years, and it's so close to you, I think you would know.
It was when I did the house over. It was years after that. There was some sort of a iron fence there, and I did put the new post and rail fence in back then. So people wouldn't walk. So people wouldn't walk down this embankment right here and fall over. I mean, there's all rocks there. It's a 6-foot drop off.
Can I say something?
No, wait.
Well, I've lived in the neighborhood longer. There was a fence there.
Okay, you can come in. My wife would like to speak on this because she's lived in the neighborhood long before I was here. So
I bought a house in the neighborhood. Actually, it's adjacent. It's adjacent to this house, and I knew the previous owners, the Moores.
Excuse me, ma'am, could you just identify yourself, please?
Sure. My name is Melissa Skamersky. I used to be Melissa Nathan. I lived in the neighborhood. I knew the prior owners, the Moores, very closely, and bought the other house from their son. When they lived there, they did have a small fence there on the property. There used to be a bench that the town put in at one point too, but it was also wooden and it fell apart. It was dangerous. So there's always been a walkway there. And there's always been like they put the town, I thought, put the fence in on the other side. There's one on the right and one on the left. One on Joe's property line, and then there's one actually on the other side that has always been there since I recall. And actually, I think the town did put that in. So I just wanted to share with you.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any, Mike, are you all set with that? Anything else to add?
If there's a fence there, the pier, who does the pier belong to?
Me. We put that in.
So your land extends out to the water then?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, and what is there, a right of way across where the crushed stone is or something?
Where there's a right of way at the end of the street. If you go down the end of the street, there's a right of way.
It's public access.
Public access,
Yeah.
which the city doesn't maintain. No one cuts the grass or weeds. You can barely get down there because the stuff is 6 feet high. There was a bench down there, and the tree fell on it, and it was like that for 3 years. You know, so like, no one takes care of the area or anything. You know, it would be the same way if I didn't have the grass there. It'd be 6 feet high.
There's another.
All right, well,
Anyways,
I agree with the chair. It's a different issue. I just had some questions on
thank you.
how that worked. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else have any comments?
Well, I mean, there's nothing to be done about it now, but if that fence was put in by the owner on that, because it's within the 100-foot buffer, it probably should have gotten reviewed.
I don't, Mr. Chairman, this is staff. I just want to note, I believe when Mr. Skomerski came in front of the commission in 2016 to put the foundation on the house, I'm not sure if the fence was shown on that plan or not. But if it were to be installed, he may have done that under that 2016 approval. It could have been shown on the proposed plan for the foundation or the pier work. And it could have been something that was just approved as the result of approving the other projects. I'm happy to check on that from the staff level.
Okay. I don't see it as being a detriment to the wetlands, to the riverfront. So let's get back to the proposed project, if we could. Is anyone ready to make a motion that we issue an order of conditions for this, or do we have reservations and we want to continue? So if someone wants to make a motion, we'll proceed. Otherwise, if someone feels we need to continue, just speak up.
I feel ready to make a motion talking about the garage addition. I kind of feel like the fence is a separate issue that has no bearing on the garage. So I think we can talk about the garage, and if there's anybody wants further follow-up on the fence, I think that falls outside of the project before us.
I agree.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions for 107 Bradstreet Avenue, DEP file number 14-1352.
All right, the motion has been made.
Sorry, I think we have to close the hearing.
You're right. Does that have to be done in that particular order, Georgia?
You're muted, Georgia.
Sorry. Close the hearing, then make your discussion determination.
Okay, I'll make a motion to close the hearing for 107 Bradstreet Ave.
Motion's been
second
made.
that.
Second. All right, we're voting now to close the hearing. So Vanessa,
Yes.
Mike Swain,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Chelsea,
Yes.
Peter, yes. Okay, Vanessa, I'm going to ask you to make that motion again, please.
Sure, I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions for 107 Bradstreet Avenue, DEP file number 14-1352.
Okay, the motion's been made. Is there a second?
I second the motion. Oh, okay.
Okay, we're going to vote on issuing an order of conditions, and please. Vanessa Curran.
Yes.
Michael Splain.
Aye.
Ann McGill.
Yes.
Chelsea King.
Yes.
Peter Wilson. Yes. Okay, so that motion has passed. You are good to go, Mr. Skamersky.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks, now.
Bye-bye.
Okay, our next item is a notice of intent for 15 Tibbetts Avenue, DEP file number 14-1351. The applicant is Amanda Organ Moda, and who's here to present the case for the applicant?
Peter Ogan, and I'm with Hayes Engineering. First of all, I thank the Commission for the opportunity to present to you this evening. I am here representing Wayne and Amanda Moda, who actually happen to be my son-in-law and daughter. We've filed a notice of intent application to tear down and build a new house at 15 Tibbetts in Danvers, and it's obtained DEP file number 14-1351. And at our last check, there were no comments from the DEP. This is an existing 6,080 square foot lot that was laid out in the early 1900s. And the house was built, actually it was probably a camp at the time, was built in 1910. Wayne and Amanda became first interested in this property, thinking that they might be able to remodel it for their family. They have 3 children. But after talking with a couple of architects and the building inspector, it became obvious that the best approach would be to tear the building down and rebuild it completely. And this is because of the requirements that under the Massachusetts building regulations, if you remodel more than a certain percent of the value of the property, you have to bring it totally under the code. And as you can imagine, the portions of the house that were built in 1910 don't necessarily meet the current building standards. Also, the first floor of the existing structure is below elevation 10, which is the floodplain elevation in this area. And there's also kind of a poor foundation under it. It was not a complete foundation when it was built, and there were a number of additions added to the house over the years, and there were various types of foundations that were put under the additions. I'd like to now take a look at the plan that we submitted. I think we have it to go up here. The resources that we're looking at now are there's the river, which is land underwater under the resource, and then as you go landward, there's a coastal bank, which is an existing granite retaining wall. Maybe you could point that out. That runs along the river. The shoreline is that sloped area ahead of it, and then if you just move it up a little bit, the river is beyond. Go ahead and move it up.
Keep going.
There's the river, and then there's a tidal area, and then a granite seawall. The entire site is within the riverfront area, being within 200 feet of the mean high water of the edge of the river. So it's in the riverfront area, and the entire site is in the land subject to coastal storm flowage as well. As you can see from looking at it, there's a lot of activity in the front yard area here. In fact, there's actually no grass at all. There's some garden areas, but no grass areas. There's an existing and we were asked to add the 25 and 35 foot buffer zones, and I point out that we've added the buffer zone to the coastal bank, which I think is the interpretation that the commission would want to see. There's a gazebo in it, a flagpole, a lighthouse, and a significant amount of pavers, which are that kind of amorphous shaped area that goes all the way to the front of the house, and actually a wide double paver driveway in the front of the dwelling. So the site itself is pretty well covered between the existing footprint of the house and the improvements or landscape features that have been added to the house over the years. As I said, the house has been remodeled a couple of times. What we propose to do is to tear the entire house down and get rid of all the existing landscape features and kind of start anew here. And we have a picture of what they propose to build. If you want to put up the house site.
Is it?
This is what's proposed. It's going to be a shingle-style house. I think much more in keeping with the neighborhood and with what goes on the river in Danvers, as opposed to what's currently there now, which is a kind of a masonry brick home. We also have a elevation as to what it would look like from the river. So going back to the site plan, the actual footprint of the dwelling itself is precisely the same as what was there before. It's a footprint of I believe it's
980 square feet?
No, it's 1,980 square feet, I think. And the footprint would be exactly the same, although the configuration is going to be changed somewhat. And then there are covered porches, which are not considered part of the footprint under the zoning. There's a covered porch in the front, and then a small covered porch in the riverside. There's a covered porch, and there's a small covered porch, whatever you call the front of the house. And then they've shown a small outdoor shower on the outside of the house as well. We have included in the filing an impervious comparison table, and that's up at the top there. I think you can see, maybe if we blow it up, you can read the numbers. The existing buildings, deck, porches, and landings cover 2,369 square feet. We're proposing to cover 2,898 square feet, which is actually an increase of 129 square feet. That's predominantly owing to a small increase in the size of the porch in the front. The existing porch in the front was narrow, and which made it not too usable in terms of having some porch furniture and so forth on it. The existing walkways, pavers, and patios cover 1,907 square feet. We're proposing to have walkways and patios that would cover approximately 1,270 square feet. So that's a 234 square feet reduction. So in net, there's 4,276 square feet in the existing condition that's impervious. We're proposing 4,171, so a reduction of 105 square feet. We're also proposing a number of grass areas, and if you go to the proposed site plan.
That's the one you're on. Scroll down.
It's to the right. This shows paver patio areas out by the seawall, paver patio walkway from the house to the pier that's out there. There's also an impervious slab that they propose at some time maybe to put a hot tub on, and then some pavers that run around the house, and then a paver area for a single car where there's now a paver for a double car, and then a small driveway in front of the what's going to be a two-car garage. There'll actually be a two-car garage within this proposed structure. The other areas that we show are going to be either lawn or landscape. So there's lawn in the front where we're indicating there's a raised lawn area with a granite wall around it in the location that we're indicating now. And then either lawn or garden areas in the remaining areas. So there's going to be a significant increase in planting area and lawn area where there's not now. I think that basically describes the project, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that the commission might have relative to what we intend to do here.
Okay, yeah, I have a couple questions to start. First is, you said you're demolishing the house, and I'm presuming you're going right down to pour a new foundation.
Well, the foundation's got to be determined. Because this is in the floodplain, it has to be built in accordance with the building code. And there will be a new foundation, but it'll have to be on piers and have breakaway panels, which is the requirement now under the building code.
Right, because I know we permitted a house, I think probably 2 doors up from you. Yeah. I think it's at 11 Tibbetts, where they had to do something along those lines to allow for higher waters in the future.
Yeah, we have to do that. In fact, the building inspector has requested that the first floor of the structure be 1 foot above the 100-year flood prediction in the FEMA map, which is elevation 11. FEMA map for the still pool elevation of the coastal storm flowage is elevation 10.
Okay, good. And a comment more than a question is, I like the fact that your impermeable surface is going to be slightly lower, which is a good thing. My third question is, you're not proposing any pier or dock work, is that correct?
No, there's an existing pier there now. In fact, there's a substantial pier there. This house used to belong to the one of the owners or the owner of Danvers Port Yacht Club, and he had a very significant pier out here with, I guess, a large boat. I'm not familiar with the boat, but
right.
Still there.
Well, a couple of neighbors came along with pier projects, and we've asked them to set their floats up so they do not rest on the mud.
Yep.
So I would just suggest that you check your Chapter 91 license and make sure that you are in accordance with that. Because I know some of your floats I did see on the mud when we visited the others.
Yeah, this pier does not rest on the mud, and it's actually not a bottom anchored float. It's a piled float.
So you're saying all your floats are floating, and at low tide they don't rest on the mud?
That's correct. There's water there at low tide and high tide.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's all I have for questions. So let me turn it over to the members and see what they have. So first up will be Mike.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah. Hi, Peter. I haven't seen you since Folly Hill.
No, I haven't seen you for a while.
When I was on the planning board. But what kind of soil is there that you're going to be establishing a lawn, so you'll be digging up everything that's there and re-sodding or something?
Well, we'll probably be sodding because it's a small area, and we'll have to put down loam. The existing material there, we have not dug a test hole because it's an existing developed site, but I believe it's a sandy material. But whatever, it will definitely support a lawn.
Neighbors have lawns.
Yeah, the neighbors have lawns in the same situation.
And the pavers you're talking about, are those?
Oh, you dropped off, Mike. Mike, there you go, you're back.
Mike, could you ask that question?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, the pavers that you're showing, are those pervious as opposed to impervious?
We hadn't. I mean, they're going to be individual blocks. But we didn't specify that they were pervious pavers. They could be if it was thought to be necessary. But the pavers that are there now are just solid concrete pavers.
But those are going, right?
Those are going, and
you're going to pull all that. It sounds like you're pulling everything up. You're going to do a demo and start over.
That's correct.
Yeah. So is this a area that floods? That currently floods?
No.
I don't know that there's been a record flood that's flooded here, but it's definitely below the storm surge for the coastal storm under the FEMA map. The existing land elevations in there around elevation 7 and 8, and the 10 is the land subject to coastal flowage here.
Yeah, and I'm not clear on that. I'm not clear on the new requirements, but could you just elaborate that on a little on the foundation? It's not something on stilts. It's just a different style foundation.
The foundation would have to be on piers, and then in between the piers, you'd have to have breakaway panels, so that if the flood level does come up to that level, theoretically, first of all, the water would be able to flow underneath the house because it's on piers, number one, and number two. If there's any wave form or anything, it would be able to break the panels away. This is not in a V zone. This is only in an AO zone, I believe, an AO zone at elevation 10. So it's not a V zone.
And what's the difference?
The V zone is a velocity zone and is subject to a wave action. This is not predicted to be subject to wave action in the coastal storm under the FEMA maps.
Yeah. Well, with the piers and the style foundation, what would the total height of the project be?
Mean height of 26.5.
What's that?
It's a mean height of 26.5.
I think I'm saying how tall is the building?
Yeah, I think 26.5 was.
Yeah, it's a 26.5 mean height. The total height is, I believe, 30, which is 5 feet under the 30 to 32, but it's under.
It's under the
zoning requirement. Yeah.
Right, right. That was my question.
The height is measured in the zoning is an average grade to halfway up the peak, which is the building code definition. What he's indicating is that it's like 32 feet peak to ground, and the height by definition under the zoning is like 26.
Yeah. And would you just elaborate on how you measured the 25 and the 35?
Yeah, if you go back to the architecturals. Up above. The architectural. You probably can't read it, but the total height is from the absolute top of the peak to the ground average ground level, and the ground is very flat here. There's not a big averaging to do.
Actually, Peter, I was asking you about the no build, no disturb, the 25 and 35. How you measured those?
I thought you were asking about the height. I apologize.
I'm on to something else.
Okay, that's
no, you already answered that. I got that.
All right, that's measured from the seawall, 25 feet back from which is the coastal bank, and then 35 feet back.
All right. And none of the house is going to be in there, right? Is that correct?
The house is proposed to be in either the 25 or the 35. In fact, they're taking a structure out. They're taking a couple of structures out. Actually, there's a kind of a miniature lighthouse and gazebo. That's all coming out, and there's only landscape proposed there. No new structures.
All right, thank you. I'd be interested to see what this looks like when it's done with that type of foundation. But that's all the questions I have.
Okay, Mike, I mentioned earlier that the house 2 doors up, I think it's number 11. We permitted fairly recently, and they had the same type foundation.
Thank you.
Okay, Ann, do you have any questions, comments?
There was some mention of a hot tub. Where did it go? Is that being removed or is that being added?
The hot tub that's there now is being removed, and there's a 10 by 10 pad that they might want to put a hot tub on in the future, which is we're indicating with the arrow now.
Okay, so that is conjectural. It's not in concrete, right?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So, the lawn and plantings, what kind of it sounds like they don't have plantings there right now. Are no trees, no bushes?
They have plenty of bushes, smaller, couple of large arborvitaes on the fence line. Other than that, it's all small annuals and perennials around the planting area. Nothing real tall.
Okay, are you going to remove those and put in new plantings?
We're going to keep some that are there existing on the right side of the property. We're probably going to keep everything that's in this area, getting rid of the flagpole. Okay. We have some nice planting areas here, but around here, we have to disturb all of this. They actually have a couple of nice plants here, but with the demo, it's not going to survive, but we'll be planting a lot more than what's there now.
Okay, and erosion control thoughts? Have you any thoughts on that in terms of the construction, or is that too far down the road to ask you?
Well, I will tell you that the construction that's being done at 11 Tibbetts are just finishing up, which is Michael Hubbard is living there. He's also the builder. He'll be building our home. And he knows very well kind of what he needs to do down by the river. So he's pretty confident and has been in touch with Rich Maloney and feels confident that he's going to be able to pick it right up and take care of it.
Okay, good.
We would plan to surround the construction with erosion control during the construction period. If nothing else, it keeps people from going off the reservation, and you know, it's a good demarcation as to where they should be, should and shouldn't be. So we would be surrounding it with erosion control.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All set, Ann? Chelsea, any questions or comments?
Yeah, one question just concerning the hot tub or like the proposed hot tub that conceptually might exist. Just do we have, and this is more at staff, I guess, do we have any regulations or concerns about like pools or anything being that close to the river in regards to like chlorine being drained and removed or anything like that?
That's a good question. I would say I haven't really come across pool drainage in the riverfront area. For the hot tub in particular, I'm not sure the maintenance required of the hot tub, but if anyone knows how you drain a hot tub, we could condition that it's not towards the riverfront area, that it could be drained in a bucket and then removed. Is anyone privy to how a hot tub is emptied? Maybe the homeowners may have a process that they intend on doing.
Typically, the concern of draining that is the free chlorine that's in it, and usually there's a standard that you can't add any chlorine to it for like 3 days before you drain it out, and then they could just drain it over the lawn area, and there's not enough free chlorine left to kill the lawn, and it could just be absorbed into the lawn.
Mr. Ogren is correct, and we have done that practice before, Chelsea, for pool projects similar, like in Woodvale. I've known the commission has done that, where they have to let it dissipate for 3 days before discharging. So if the commission wants to condition that, that's more than acceptable.
Okay, yeah, if that's like standard practice, I'm not super worried about it, but if we could add a condition, I think that'd be good. Other than that, I have no concerns.
I just ask a follow-up on the hot tub. Where is that located? Where is it planned to be? And is that still speculative or something you probably will do?
No, what we indicated was that we're going to put a 10 by 10 slab there.
Well, where is the slab going?
He just put the little arrow there. Can you see it?
Put it back? No.
It's on the very right-hand side of the drawing. Right there.
Okay, so
you see the arrow?
But that would be within the 25-35, right?
Yeah, but it's just it's just placed on the slab. It's not doesn't have a foundation or anything, and it's not, you know, it's like a landscape feature as opposed to a you know, I don't know what your definition of a structure is, but.
Does that,
is it possible?
I guess I would refer that to staff. I mean, is that something that we'd be concerned about, that they could put a hot tub within the 25-35?
So I can read the definition of our existing 25, but the 25 is the no disturb. So no structures, no disturbance of any kind is allowed in that zone. But
and that's what he's proposing. And that's what he's proposing.
Well, but
he's also asking for a waiver as well.
That's right.
Well,
in other words, there's going to be first of all, there's already considerable disturbance in all this area here, and we have asked for a waiver to have the disturbance in the 25 and 35.
Well, what's your specific waiver request? What are you requesting?
We submitted a waiver request. I don't know if you want me to read it to you, or.
Well, I mean, is it relate to the hot tub?
No, that's not it. That's not it.
The 25, but I'm sorry, Peter, I have the paper in front of me, the waiver in front of me. The request is the installation of paver patio walkways within the landscaped area, paver patio removal, installation of a 10 by 10 hot tub pad in the existing flagpole area. So that is within the 25 no build.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what the request for the waiver is. It's all of that plus that hot tub slab.
But that could be moved at least out of the 25.
It could.
Yeah, if that's an important thing, I mean, we could move it up next to the walkway there, I think. Wouldn't do it. What?
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, could you consider that, please, Ben?
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that the location of it kind of revolves around how you get to the backyard, though on the plan, it looks like it's a really big area to come in here. With the porch, this from here to here is not a large space. So to have a walkway to come through and maintain the existing bushes, plantings that are here that we're trying to save around this area, it becomes a little bit difficult.
Yeah, I understand that, but
No, I feel that.
we try to protect that
Sorry, go ahead,
25.
Mr. Chair.
Nope, understood. And again, we did take a lot of care and everything else and really focusing on pulling out a lot of the other things that were in here to try to add back to the property, not only on the conservation side, but on the building side, where we redesigned and changed the house to move it away from existing structures in the neighborhood already. We pulled back a setback by 4 feet to limit the size of the house, to give some space between fire protection and whatnot. So we've been very, I think, considerate. I know it doesn't. Yeah. So anyway, yes. So that would be the reason why we would want it there, but understood.
Well, the other alternative you could consider is not even putting the pad there and then just come back to us in the future if you want to have a hot tub.
Yeah.
Now you're not even saying you want a hot tub. Is that right?
Well, we do want one. When we put it in, it's probably not going to happen with the building of the house at the same exact time. You know?
I think the point here is that because the access to the rear yard is going to be limited once the house is built, if you want to put a slab down, the pavers down for the hot tub, it's much easier to do it now.
Well, but yes, I'm hearing a pad, which I'm thinking is a solid pad of concrete, or are we talking about pervious pavers?
Pavers.
Maybe pavers.
Pavers and possibly crushed stone. One of the two.
It's still a pad.
Yeah, it's still going to be holding up. Yeah. So
Okay,
yeah, pad's good stuff. Concrete.
It's pervious is what is important to us.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Mike, are you comfortable with that?
Is he's taking it out of the 25? That's what I'm comfortable with.
Well, I'm not hearing that yet. Okay, well, you can vote accordingly.
Well, I thought they said they were.
No.
No.
Okay, we'll get back to that one before we vote.
We vote on the waivers separately, so.
Right. Okay, Chelsea, you spoke, right? Because you asked about the pad, so it'd be Vanessa. What do you have? Any questions or comments?
Yes, I have a few. So on the right-hand side of the property, is there an easement or a public access there?
I like that to the pad.
She's asking about the.
Yep, sorry, go ahead, say that again, I apologize.
Sorry, to the right side of the property, is there, it says 12-foot way to the river, is that some sort of easement or public access?
It was, yes, there's a public.
It's a right-of-way that shows on the plan. I don't know whether the rights go to the public or whether the rights go to the people on the plan. That would be something that you'd have to get a legal opinion on, but it shows as a right of way to the river, and my guess is that it's probably a right of way for the people that showed on the plan as a presumptive right.
Okay, so, but that's not part of the lot, right? The lot line is where it kind of bisects where it says land and plantings. Do you
That's
see what that is?
correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
So you're building this paver walk not on your own lot?
Yeah, that's correct, but that doesn't interfere with anybody's enjoyment of the way. It's there's a paver walk there now, as a matter of fact. If you look, see the paver walk goes over the line there.
Yes, I did notice that. But
Yeah.
if the right of way or the easement is the town's land, I think.
Oh, it's definitely not the town's land.
Okay.
And I heard that long discussion in the last one. I would be very surprised if that roadway is the town's. I would guess it's a private way, although I don't know that for a fact. But this is definitely not the town's land. The fee is probably owned by the abutters, subject to the rights of others to pass and repass over it. And as to how extensive those rights are, we didn't look into it, but it's most likely only the right only accrues to the people that are shown on the plan.
What do you mean?
That would be spelled out in a deed, Peter, you know, the right to pass and repass, so it would belong to somebody. It could belong to the public in general, or people on Tibbetts Ave, or the neighborhood.
Well, again, it doesn't spell it out in the deed. It was laid out as a right-of-way back in the early 1900s, as I said. I think it was 1910 or something like that. And it just says right-of-way to the river. It doesn't spell out to whom the rights accrue, and I think it would take a significant title search to figure out to whom the rights accrue. But the issue is whether or not a paver walk interferes with that right, and you're not allowed to do anything on a right-of-way which would interfere with others' enjoyment of the way. I don't believe this does, because it's just going to be flush pavers.
Is there any sort of fencing or anything that?
There's no fence there at all. It's just an open. It's either a grass area in the right-of-way or the pavers that are there now.
Okay. All right, and then, so moving to the backyard, was there any other alternative location thought of for that paver patio? I'm not really a big fan of it immediately adjacent to the seawall, and I see you've got that raised grass area. Is there any thought of swapping those two areas?
No. The raised area that's there now exists.
Sorry, the what is there now? I'm sorry.
The raised area we're proposing for grass exists now as a raised area where this gazebo is. So the land at that point is 8 inches to a foot taller in grade. And then this patio, it's exactly why, you know, we would want it there, because the river's beautiful, and that's why we're buying the home. There are several other homes on the river that have patios that face right on there. I believe 17 or 19 Tibbetts has a patio right on the seawall that was approved. But, you know, as a homeowner and someone that enjoys the river, that's where we want to be. I want to put a chair there and, you know, flat area that's not wet, and be able to sit and enjoy my time there.
What is there right now?
Pavers and plantings. So we have pavers that almost abut the seawall right now. I think we got maybe a foot buffer.
Okay, yeah.
That's probably 3 feet, excuse me, not a foot. And then pavers in this area now, which we're removing all these pavers to put grass right up to the seawall. So that would be the difference.
Didn't we make them pull back the patio or paver walkway at 11 Tibbetts away from the seawall?
11's a new construction?
That was a question for Peter. Sorry, I'll clarify that. Peter, do you recall?
11's mine.
I'm racking my brain right now, and I know there was some discussion about it, but I don't remember.
Okay.
George, you could check, but or maybe
I'll check right
the
now.
applicants, you know. You know, it's as long as it's pervious, I personally do not have that big an objection to it.
No, you gotta get pervious concrete pavers, which is, I think we gotta concede that.
Right, and then I think I would like to see a planting plan to know what you're proposing to put in, just to make sure everything's native and you're gonna be salt tolerant, and a lot of these replantings, we get a planting plan that lists the species of what's going in.
Oh, we can do that. Could we make that a condition of the order, or?
Because I have no idea at this point what we're gonna be planting.
Yeah, I don't know, that would be a question for Georgia, I think.
I mean, if the commission's comfortable with that, we usually don't require one under the NOI in this case, so it would be something the commission's asking for after the fact. If they're comfortable with it being a condition of approval, I don't see an issue with that. Staff receiving a plan of the proposed plantings.
Let's give it a label. What kind of replanting we want? Native, salt-tolerant plants? Just, you know, just to elaborate.
Oh, for the condition, I would say that the applicant should provide a planting.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions, Vanessa?
Yes, can we look back at the new plan, please? Thank you. So I recognize that this is a very tight site. And I recognize that it's, you know, a previously developed site, and you have certain things you're trying to accomplish, but I do kind of feel like there is a lot going on in the 25-foot no disturb that I would like to either see moved out or made pervious, and that I would like to see that be a condition of approval as well.
Yeah, we've agreed that we'll use the pervious patio pavers on all of the patios.
All right, I don't have any further questions.
Okay, so
actually, wait, sorry to interrupt, Peter. Georgia was still looking at 11 Tibbets, and if we had something back.
I'm still searching. I can't find the changeover in plans to find exactly what you're looking for, Vanessa.
Okay.
I think, Georgia, just in the interest of time, we could ask for public comments while you're looking, instead of all of us just staring, waiting. Is that agreeable?
Yes.
Okay. So, David, are there any email comments from the public?
Mr. Chairman, there's no email comment.
Are there any phone comments, Alicia?
Mr. Chairman, there are no phone comments.
Okay, is there anyone online that would like to comment? Okay, I guess we didn't give you a whole lot of time, Georgia.
Right now, it looks like there's nobody online to comment unless Mr. Duggan chimes in.
Peter, this is Ann. I have the date for the 11 Tibbets, which was June 18th meeting, if that helps.
Yeah, but that was, I think, was on their pier. I think the original plan for the building was several years prior.
Okay.
I wouldn't wait on me. I apologize. It's going to take a bit more than looking at the plans, because I'm going to have to find the change. Vanessa, you had mentioned it was the fence at the front of the...
I think they had either like a paver walkway or a paver patio that they were proposing adjacent to the seawall or very close to it, and I think we had said we didn't really like it, and they pulled it back, if I'm remembering correctly. And I think we were meeting in person at the time, is my recollection.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking you're right, Vanessa. I think it was, a small, like a foot or two. It wasn't anything dramatic.
It might have been a smaller, I think it might have been a walkway. It might have been smaller, but we still had them.
But just pull it back from the wall, but just a small amount.
Right.
Agree to put a 2-foot planting strip along there or something.
It's not cave yet.
Huh?
It's not cave yet.
What?
See what they're doing.
We can hear you.
So what I have in the most recent plan that I'm showing, it does show a 4-foot wide walkway at the front near the coastal bank, and it was pulled back, but I can't scale it out right now. but it did show a 4-foot wide paper walkway running along the seawall, and that was pulled back.
What address was it?
11 Tibbetts.
Okay, because they don't have it. That's the new construction home, and they don't have anything there. Or I don't think I've applied for anything yet, but according to Mike, but maybe they have.
Applied for it. They've already applied
For the house. Yeah, so they had the order on that site plan.
Cool.
That's where we had them pull back.
They might not have built it yet.
Gotcha.
My point of asking was basically to say that this is something that we've done for, I recognize there are site constraints, but this is something that another house in the neighborhood, we asked them to look at this.
Sure, and also another house 2 down has what we're asking for. So I mean, again, we're doing the best we can to give back where we can, and I think we've done a pretty good job of that. The hot tub, we'll go ahead and move that out, but the paver patio is something we really want, and that doesn't mean you give it to us, but at the same time, you've got someone on the right that you said can't do it, and you've let someone on the left do it. So, that's kind of my point, and it doesn't mean you have to do it every time because someone asks, but it's not, we're giving back other things here, and again, if the hot tub has to go, and if that's a condition there, and that helps satisfy it, then I'm willing to forfeit the hot tub pad for that.
Okay, and just as a matter of clarification, 11 Tibbetts came before us recently.
It's okay with me.
I can't say when the other one was permanent, or it wasn't any time that I was on the commission. And the commissions change over time depending on who you have on it, and sometimes things that were permitted 10 years ago wouldn't be done today, or vice versa. So
yeah, understood.
I would just add that the applicant's lucky they're coming now because in the future, it may be 35-50, Peter. You know that?
As far as you're thinking of changing your buffer zone, yeah.
Yeah, right. So it's a good time. It's good timing for them that way.
Okay, are we ready to vote on things, folks?
I think I just want to clarify where we're at. So I just want to clarify on the hot tub slab. So is that being pulled back or cut from the plan? Like pulled back from out of the 25 or being removed from the plan? I'm a little
Being taken out of the 25, isn't that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And putting it where?
I'd have to go back and look.
Slide back along that lot line. It'll slide back to be outside the 25.
Okay. I can live with that.
So be between outside the 25. I'm good with that. And that's going to be on pervious, or is it poured?
It'll all be pervious pavers.
All right. That sounds good.
Okay, so Vanessa, are you all set?
Yes.
Okay, so does anyone else have any questions before we continue? Because I'm going to vote to close the hearing. Okay, all right, so if someone will make a motion, we could close the public hearing and we'll proceed.
I'll move we close the public hearing.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Vanessa?
Yes.
Michael? Mike, just nod your head.
Right.
Ann McGill?
Yes.
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
Peter? Yes. Okay, next up is to grant a waiver for the work as designated and agreed upon within the 25 no disturb zone. Now, I think specifically that was moving the slab for the 10 by 10 hot tub out of the 25 no disturb. And I think the patio, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to leave as shown on the plan.
So I'll make a move. I'll make a motion.
Hold on a second. Did someone have a comment?
Sorry, I was just going to say that I think we just wanted to note that it has to be, impervious, oh, sorry, pervious.
Pervious.
We want them to specify that
Okay.
in the walkway too.
I think their plans say that everything's pervious.
All right.
Does it say it on here?
It doesn't, but we can add that to the
We're
plan.
gonna make it a condition.
Make it a condition.
Okay. All right. So,
Sorry. Can I just add
go
one more
ahead.
thing? Can we ask that they have to provide new plans showing where the hot tub's gonna go to?
Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you. Okay, I'm done.
Someone willing to make a motion that we give them a waiver to work within the 25 no disturb zones?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we grant a waiver to allow, the work within the 25, no disturb as requested by the applicant, with the exception that the applicant will use pervious pavers on all walkways and patios, and that the 10-foot by 10 slab shown for a hot tub be moved out of the 25. So upon those conditions, I make that motion.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, so all in favor of granting a waiver to let these folks do as planned and with the applicable conditions? Vanessa,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Chelsea,
Yes.
and Peter, yes. Okay, finally, we just need to vote on a order of conditions. Someone can make a motion for that. And
I'll make,
go ahead, Mike.
I'll make a motion, we issue an order of conditions for 15 Tibbetts Ave, notice of intent. I'm not sure of what the DEP number is for that. Do we have one?
Yeah, I will tell you, it is 14-1351.
14-14351?
1351.
Is that what you said?
14-1351.
All right, thank you. I make a motion, we issue an order of conditions for the notice of intent for 15 Tibbetts Avenue, DEP file number 14-1351. And that we'll put some conditions on it, expressly the erosion control that we're going to require during the demo and all other work will be a combination of silt sock and silt fencing as a condition of the order, that the applicant provide a plan of planting types to staff prior to start of the work, and
Okay, we're missing the.
I'm sorry? One other thing. Is somebody saying something here?
Mr. Chairman, rather than make it start of work, could we make it prior to the landscape? Because the work hopefully can start this fall.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I didn't know you, okay, so prior to the start of the landscaping, the applicant submit a planting plan to staff. And we had a comment on the walkway, let's see. Has it been determined that the structure is allowed within the easement limits? That there was an issue here on the public way. You addressed that, and I don't think you know the answer, though, Peter. So I guess I'd ask that the applicant just provide some information on the walkway, the nature of the right-of-way. I think you stated it's not a public access. You think it belongs to the abutters, or?
I definitely think that it belongs to the fee belongs to the abutters, because I can't imagine that the town of Danvers would have taken that right of way. But as to who the rights accrue to, I don't know. I can talk with the title attorney when the property closed. That could be a very difficult question, but there is an implied right always to the property shown on the plan. In other words, if there were 20 lots that were laid out on this plan, there's an implied right to all the ways shown on the plan for all the lots on the plan. I'm confident that they would have rights to it. Whether or not those rights go beyond to the public or not, that would take some research.
Yeah, well, that's the question. I mean, it's the right, for example, I couldn't go there and put in a walkway because I want to be able to walk down to the water. I'm not in a butter, but I mean, we're making an assumption. I'm just saying we're making an assumption here as to, you know, you're going to install a walkway on a right of way that's not on your property. And that you should at least be able to say you have the right to do that.
Okay, well, we'll have to have the title attorney look into that. We'll provide that information.
Yeah. Just provide that information. So that's the motion. That is the motion.
Okay.
And well, all the other standard conditions, of course, which we attach.
Okay, good. Quite a motion, Mike. The motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor? Vanessa?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Ann?
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
And Peter? Yes. So you are all set, folks. Good luck.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be in
Good job,
touch
Peter.
with the landscaping plan and all that.
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.
Thank you, applicants. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next up, minutes. We have minutes from 2 meetings. The first one from 9/24. Has people had a chance to review these minutes that Alicia has worked very hard on?
Yes.
I read the meetings for 9/24. Someone else did. Vanessa, you read them?
Yep.
I read
I'll let Vanessa comment because she's pretty good at picking out stuff.
The only thing I had was that I noticed that I think Mike was listed as the acting chair, but I think there was only one meeting that happened. I think by the 24th, Peter, you were back as chair, right?
I think you're right. Yes. But I think, you know, as far as the motions and voting and all that was done properly, so I think we're all set.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so can we have a motion to accept the meetings from 9/24?
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from the September 24th meeting of the Danvers Conservation Commission.
Okay, motion been made. Is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, all in favor? Vanessa?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Ann?
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
Peter? Yes. Okay, meeting minutes from 10/8/2020. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept those minutes, unless there's any comments?
I had the same comment about Mike being listed as acting chair.
Mike, you took over on me.
It's never back.
To obtain a motion to accept the minute from
I'll make a motion to accept. Oh, sorry, was somebody else talking?
No, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to accept the October 8th meeting minutes of the Danvers Conservation Commission.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second?
I second that.
All in favor? Vanessa?
Yep.
Mike?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
And Peter? Yes. Okay, before we move on, just one bit of business that I'm just going to throw in here. As you all know, my second surgery is this coming Monday. And our next meeting is the 12th, which is like 2.5 weeks after the surgery. So right now I'm presuming that I will be off of the strong painkillers and I'll be able to serve, you know, in my capacity as the chairperson. But if I'm not, I'm proposing that I give Georgia like a week's notice and she could just touch base with Mike and we would just proceed along like we did in September.
Okay. Peter, I just want to confirm you're going to make that vote tonight.
Do we need to vote on that?
Yes, you would need to vote on that. The board would need to choose a member that they would like to act as the chair for the 12th meeting on the 12th.
Okay. And that's irregardless of my condition. So if we vote on that tonight, presuming it's Mike, he would be running the meeting on the 12th.
Well, let me ask David. I think it would just be a good safeguard for you to appoint Mike now in the chance you aren't capable of joining. And if you are to join, I think you would automatically take back the chair position. Does that sound right, David?
Sorry, I think in the event that the chair could not participate, you could appoint an acting chair now.
Okay. And if Peter does show up,
right, he's still the chair.
Stay. Great. Okay.
Exactly.
So
Okay,
the board wants to go.
I guess, does anyone want to volunteer for this role, or do I need to pick somebody?
I nominate Mike to do it.
I second the nomination.
I'll do it.
Oh, good. Make it easy.
At some point, one of you ladies are gonna have to step up and take that job. But I'll do it. Yeah.
At some point, because I'll do this for like another year, but then someone else should be moving into it after that. Okay, so Mike, we're going to say you'll be the conditional chairperson based on my availability for the 11/12 meeting. So all in favor, Vanessa?
In the event you cannot serve.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Michael Splain.
Yes. I said yes.
Okay. Ann.
Yes.
And Chelsea.
Sorry. Yes.
Okay. That's all I have. I'm not sure how much you want to continue with, Georgia, seeing as we've gone so long tonight, but I'm going to turn the floor over to you for as much as you want to present.
Not too long. I want to see the debate.
I know. Thank you. I appreciate the honesty, man. I was going to say, I know it's very late in the commission. It's been a long meeting, so I appreciate you guys sticking around. I'll keep it very short. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
So just a reminder, if this is not already burned into your head, special town meeting on Monday coming up for the vote on the wetland bylaw changes. If those are adopted and approved, we'll be looking to the commission to adopt the regulations, and that would be at the November 12th meeting. Okay. So in the memo, I know there's a lot of words on here. Don't worry, I'm not going to read it all. But this is an overview of what I provided the commission in their packet. So this overview, I'm going to continue to update over the next 2 weeks. Because really the next meeting we have is the meeting, hopefully the commission will be adopting these regulations. So this table really outlines what's changed in the section and what's been added to date. So I'll continue to update this and I'll email the commission so I'm not overwhelming you guys, probably one time next week and the week following with big updates. That way at our meeting on the 12th, if you guys have any questions or some specific areas for us to go over, we can do that. And I know our meeting on the 12th is also getting pretty stacked up. So to prevent us being 10 o'clock p.m. trying to go through a bunch of stuff, if you guys want to email any questions or comments, feel free to do so. So just a general overview of really all of our sections in the regs are pretty much the same. The general provisions in the definition section, not much has changed, just really modernized, added some new terms. And the areas that we have reviewed, section 3, we've added our 35 and our 50 no disturb zones.
Yep.
And we're now protecting vernal pools and isolated wetlands. So that language was added. The performance standards for other resource areas, which includes the docks and piers, was another point that the commission, I think, needs to continue discussion on. And waiver requests, section 5, that was a bigger update to this regulation change. Our waiver request section in our existing regs is about a paragraph, and our new changes in the waivers require a lot more standards for applicants to follow. And the last 3 sections, the filing procedures, the permits, and the performance guarantees, again, those are all very boilerplate regulations, being how many permits you need to file, when you need to file them by, how many copies, all that. So the 2 big changes I just wanted to overview for you guys was the waiver requirements. And now, actually, we just had a discussion about a waiver. So right now our bylaw says or our regulations say if you want to alter in the 25 or the 35, or you want a waiver for any of these requirements, you really just have to ask in writing. It could be 1 sentence. So now we're going to require a waiver request form, which I'm in the process of making, that really says what section are you requesting the waiver from, why, here's how you meet the standards, here's why it's not going to impact the resource area. And that's just in general. No matter what, if you're requesting a waiver, say for 18 inches of a dock height, but you can only get 16, you would request a waiver. So that's an example of something. And in this list down here for alternatives analysis, if you're working within any of these areas, we now require an alternatives analysis. So before that wasn't a requirement. Now we're going to say, if you're applying for this waiver request, you also have to give us an alternatives analysis. And in that, it shows us, 1, a baseline of where the project could go outside of the resource area with no effects whatsoever. And then we also require the applicant to provide alternatives of where, a shed in the 25, give us alternatives of where that shed could be outside of the 25, and if it works. So by requiring this, we'll now get more information from applicants about why the project has to be where it is. And if anything, applicants need to consider moving or reducing the scale of the project. So I think that's a lot of discussion the commission's had with people saying, well, does it have to be there? You're putting that in the 25. Is there anywhere better that it could go? So this allows the commission to discuss that during the meeting. So that was waiver requirement. Any questions on the waivers? It's really, we're now just making the process more concrete and regulatory. And then, so the last couple points I had, I know, again, it's getting late, so this could be something we could discuss the next meeting if the commission has that 2 weeks to kind of think about it. But that 18 inches at low tide, I had put in commentary from DMF, and they had really noted, if you read the email, she said there really is no magic number that they prefer. They would love to see 30. They would love to see anything between 18 and 30. And from hearing that, they had also noted they're going to be putting out a pretty comprehensive, updated docks and piers guide shortly. And based on all that information, staff suggestion is that the commission implement an 18 as a standard. No matter what, you have to meet the 18 with those inspection requirements that we had discussed. Staff goes out there to measure the 18, get confirmation twice a year that that's happening. So staff believes 18 inches is something that's achievable in Danvers for the time we have now. It could be in 2 years, if we know 18 is working great, the commission can address that to maybe increase it. Or if we realize 18 is really hard to achieve, we can work with applicants on that number. So I know the commission was going through between 18 and 30 or 18 and 22. So that is something, again, for the commission to consider about really picking a concrete number before we adopt the regs. And the other 3 ones I had, the big changes that we were going to make, changes to the fee schedules. We had talked about this in 2016, years ago, about updating our fees. We haven't done it in quite some time, I think since the early 2000s. So I had put, I'll be putting in the packet an updated fee schedule based on the averages for surrounding towns and where it seems appropriate to have our permit fees. And then I'm going to be updating the appendices, which is, again, like that waiver request form. And those are really, once we have those 3 buttoned up, that would be the final overhaul of the regs. So now that I've spewed all that information at you guys and everyone looks so tired, are there any questions on what's been provided in the memo or discussed tonight or anything going forward?
I just have a question on timing.
Yeah.
So this is getting voted on Monday night though, right?
So this, what we're talking about now is not getting voted on. The bylaw is getting voted on Monday night.
Okay,
Yeah.
but not the regulations.
So the commission themselves will just vote on the regulations on the 12th.
Okay, gotcha.
And we'll be posting a notice in the newspaper just saying the Conservation Commission is going to be discussing changes to their regulations at their meeting on November 12th. So if anyone from the public is interested in commenting, they can do so now or at that public hearing on the 12th.
Okay.
Do we need to do it on the 12th, Georgia? The reason I'm asking is our agenda is looking pretty busy that night and just, time constraints.
I would say it's to the commission's advantage to have those regulations adopted and implemented as soon as the bylaws passed. So November 12th would be our closest first meeting.
Having a special meeting is an option?
You cut out, I couldn't hear you, but did you say would having a special meeting be an option?
Yes.
So I would have to double check the calendar to make sure we can get the legal ad in time to hold a special. That would put us at Thursday, November 5th. David, were you about to jump in?
Sorry, yeah, I don't want to cut in, but we could do a special meeting just for the regulations. It doesn't actually have to be a Thursday. It could be any time that we could convene. We would just need at least 14, probably more days notice to get the legal ad in for 1 week. So if the meeting on the 12th is very overwhelming, we could double back on dates and figure out the legal ads and have a special meeting just to talk about regulations.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not advocating one way or the other, but I don't know what other people think. But I just know if we have a long meeting with, conventional business, and then we have to get this at the end of the night, we're not giving it a fair shake.
Well, why can't we have it on the 12th, and if we don't get to it, just continue it to the next meeting?
I think that gives more chance to have the bylaw adopted without the regulations adopted.
Yeah.
So we'll have our new 20, 35 and 50-foot buffers adopted in the bylaw, but our regulations won't have any provisions for that.
Right.
Until we adopt. And I also want to note, we don't have to meet at night either. As David had mentioned, we don't have to meet on Thursdays. We also don't have to meet at night. If the board wanted to meet at 2 o'clock on a Wednesday, we could still post that public meeting and meet virtually. So that also is, I don't know the members' availabilities for during the day. I know, Vanessa, you may be working, but I can send an email out to the commission to organize a time during the day as well.
Mm-hmm. I maybe not.
Okay.
If my daughter's home or not.
Okay.
Sorry.
My November's wide open, Georgia.
Okay. David, what were you about to say?
Sorry, just for the sake of expediency this evening, we could send around a doodle poll just actually checking availability of members in the off chance that we have to have a second meeting and kind of back pocket that so at least staff knows and we can plan accordingly around legal ads.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
And for those that don't know, a doodle poll would basically be, I email you
with
a list of dates and you pick which one's right, or which one works for you.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's see how it goes on Monday first, and then we just look at the agenda for the 12th, and then we'll decide. I think we just should be proactive on it instead of, getting to regulations at 9:30 after 2 hours
Right.
of
I agree.
going back and forth over stormwater issues.
That's a good call, Peter.
Yeah.
Wait until Monday.
And I'll be watching intently, I hope.
Yes, I need to send you the link. Thank you, Peter.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay. Is that it, Georgia? Are you all set?
I am all set.
I guess she is. Someone ready to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Vanessa?
Yes.
Aye.
Ann, were you going to say something separate, or are you just voting yes?
Aye, yes.
Okay. Vanessa is an aye. Chelsea?
Aye, yes.
And Peter? Okay. Good job tonight, guys.
Good job.
All right.
Okay. Good.
I think we're all silly and tired. Thank you. Good night.
Next time I see you, I'll be doing kickstands.
Yeah, good luck on your surgery, Peter.
Thank you.
Good luck, Peter.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night now.